One of the things I've learned in my journey of self-actualization is that you can learn to improve the quality of your thoughts. You can learn to improve the quality of the decisions you make. And that means you have to adopt different mental models. Mental models are the representations we create in our minds of the relationships between concepts, objects, and processes in the world. They help us understand and make sense of things. That's by James Clear. Basically, a mental model is something that helps you understand and make sense of a complex problem. As simple as that. And then you can make a decision from there. The thing is, historically, human beings, we've not really been good at making decisions. We often think that because X plus Y has happened in the past, X plus Y equals Z that's happened in the past, therefore, it will repeat itself every time. So we tend to make decisions like that often, but that's not how life works. That's not how reality works. But if we're able to adopt some mental models, and then we'll be able to recognize some complex patterns, understand them, and make quality decisions from there. Now, I've started hearing about mental models from Elon Musk first, but Charlie Munger is someone who speaks about it a lot. He talks about it a lot. He says that, I hope I'm not misquoting him, where he says at any given time, he's working with about 100 mental models, right? So the idea is he encourages people to learn about mental models because it helps you understand complex things, and so that you can make decisions properly, better decisions, right? So I'm going to talk on this video about 5 mental models that I have used and I'm using in my personal life and as a solopreneur, someone who is building a one-person business. Number 1 is first principle thinking, where I first heard this from Elon Musk. And the idea is you break down complex problems and you strip them of its excesses into its bare minimum, where it is just the ideas and the bare bones of that thing remains, and then you can build up from there. So using Elon as an example, he used his company SpaceX and Tesla when he wanted to build, and the idea of going to space, building a rocket. He took down the space rocket, whatever it is that he did, but he just dismantled all of that and built it back up, right? At least that's what he explained. That's been very helpful for me, because when I feel overwhelmed by a complex idea or a complex problem, what I do is I try to sift through the layers. I take away the excesses and I boil it down to its core, and then I build back from there. So that's really been helpful for me. And that's a mental model I think you can adopt. The second mental model, I don't really know if it's a mental model per se, but it has really helped me as well. It's called the Matthew effect, or some people call it the Matthew principle, or the Matthew effect of accumulated advantage. And this was first, popularized by some social scientists, I believe in the 70s or 80s, I can't recall, where they tested out Matthew 25:29, where Jesus said, "For unto everyone that has shall be given, and he shall have abundance. But from him who does not have shall be taken away that which he has." Basically, the rich get rich and the poor get poorer. And social scientists wanted to test this phenomenon in different areas, and they did, and they realized that people that have more are usually given to them, and people that do not have actually have more taken away from them. How do you beat this? As someone who is probably born without the advantages that other people have, how do you beat the system? How do you get better? How do you get successful? So you add to what you have. That's what I believe, right? So you bet on your strengths and you maximize it to its full potential. You add to what you have. Because the thing is, if you have an advantage in an area of your life, you are bound to have more advantage. Essentially, if you have an advantage in an area of your life, you are actually bound to have more advantages in that area of your life. So we see this in different areas, in entrepreneurship, in the business world, in success, in the world of science, that people that have accumulated success tend to be even more successful. Just like, Malcolm Gladwell says in his book Outliers, that success begets success, or success leads to more success. Yeah, so honestly, this second principle has really and greatly helped me, and I'm hoping that it's something that you can do as well. Accumulate your advantages, and then you'll see that you have more opportunities and more advantages, so to speak, which now leads to the third one, right? So the second, it was Matthew principle, or the Matthew effect of accumulated advantage. And this third one is still very important. It's similar to the second principle, second model. It's called compounding. And this is something we probably learned or called the snowball effect. Basically, it is growth upon growth. Compounding is the result of reinvesting an interest instead of paying it out, instead of taking it to enjoy it. You reinvest an interest, and that starts to compound. So here's the thing, it's not just money that compounds. Habits compound, relationship compounds. Think about it. If you give yourself, or you give to a particular area of your life more and more, if you give daily to it, or weekly, or habitually to something, it will start to bear more fruit in that direction. You understand? So habits are formed that way. Great relationships are formed that way. We see this in every area. Warren Buffett says one of the ways to compound knowledge is to read 500 pages a day. My goodness. And he also says, not many people will do that. He knows, but it is actually true. That's how you compound. It's a snowball effect. If you give a little today, you give that same little tomorrow, it will compound. It will build over time. So that's the third mental model. The fourth mental model is start with why, which was popularized by Simon Sinek by his TED Talk called Start With Why. And it's very, even his book, I read it several times, where at its core, he says, rather than start with what or how, ask why. And he gave illustrations using Martin Luther King Jr., Apple Company, the Wright brothers, where he says these people were not motivated by what they did or how they were able to achieve their goals, but the why. Why are you doing what you're doing? Why do you want to build a successful one-person company? Always stick to your why, because people who deal with how, like he constantly said in the video, people don't buy what you do, they buy why you do what you do. So it's the same thing everywhere. It is a mental model you should really adopt. It's going to take you far, because when you feel tired, when you feel worn out, your why is always going to be your fuel. So you should be asking yourself, what do you believe at your core? What drives you? What motivates you? That is your why. And you should share your why. People will follow your why, not your what. And we've come to the fifth mental model that has helped me in building a one-person business. It is called the Swiss Army knife approach. So this is very interesting, because the Swiss Army knife approach is this, that you have dozens of mental models in your arsenal to use to solve your problems. So rather than just live by a particular mental model, it is important that you acquire dozens of mental models, and that is the Swiss Army knife approach. It is also a mental model. So these are and it's something I truly believe in, and these 5 things I'm going to share more in another video, but these are some of the mental models that has helped me build my life and is helping me build my one-person business model. So first principle thinking, the Matthew effect, compounding, starting with why, and the Swiss Army knife model, where you adopt as many mental models as you can. There are hundreds of them, and it's something you can on your own research and adopt the ones that you feel will suit your journey. So if you want to know more about launching yourself to becoming a one-person business, you should watch this video and just consume this entire playlist. And I would also like to ask that you subscribe to this YouTube channel. Thank you.